Hi, I'm here with Mark Ronson, who's visiting Australia with his album, which has just gone through the roof. Mark, thank you for joining us at Marie Claire.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's give a little bit of background for our readers. According to your mother, your love of music showed itself very, very early. How early? And what were your recollections of being sort of drawn towards music?
I have a really early memory of waking up in the middle of the night. My parents were kind of young when they had us. They were in London. They liked to, should we say, party. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night, there'd be 100 people in the living room, kind of 2 in the morning, and their music would be blaring out the speakers, and I would just go and sit in front of the speaker and listen and play air drums. I just was in my own world. I loved it. There was nothing weird to me about having all these people around, and I think that one of my parents' friends was maybe a drummer, and they're like, oh, he's kind of got some rhythm, maybe get him a little drum kit. So I think they got me a little drum kit, and that was my first thing where I was really drawn to music.
God, you've got the magic touch when it comes to hit records. What's the secret? What do you think is your little special something?
I think I sort of try and make music that sounds that you could maybe imagine hearing in 20 years. I'm not sure, there's no specific ingredient for it, but I guess, I have no problem saying I'm really influenced and love, soul music and the stuff from the American, Motown in the 70s and things like that. That probably filters into things that I do, but you just kind of want to make a record that sounds timeless. That's something always to strive for. And I think the stuff that I've made that's the best stuff I've worked with is sort of working with incredibly talented people. I don't know if I'll ever meet a singer, songwriter more talented than Amy Winehouse, and I don't think I would have been able to do that music or had those hits with anybody else. So a lot of it is, of course, the people that you end up working with.
Talking about Amy, what made her so special? I mean, she was incredible. And what first drew you to her?
Well, we met one day. I think I was living still in New York, and she came to my studio, and we had this instant bond and rapport, talking about music, and she said she wanted to make an album that had this, sounded like the stuff that they played in her local, in her pub, this sort of 60s girl group pop, and she also loved soul, and we just had an instant bond about music. So she went back to the hotel. I think she was supposed to go back to London the next day, and I wrote that night. I was really inspired by her, and I wrote the music for Back to Black, and she came in the next morning, and she heard it, she was really into it, and wrote the lyrics in 2 hours. And that was the thing, a couple of the songs she had written before we had met, so I didn't know exactly what her process was like, but Rehab and Back to Black she wrote while we were there in New York in those few days, and it would just be it was so honest, and there was no filter or editing, so whatever came through her came this into the pen and on the thing, and I think that's why she wrote so quick. And I've been around some of the greatest songwriters, I feel, of their generation, and I know it's it can be an arduous process. You're there in a group of 4 people, and it could be creative people, whatever it is, and you're just throwing out a line, knock it down, okay, that one's good. And that's sometimes how songwriting can go, even the stuff that sounds the most effortless. But with Amy, it really was true. We all have that cliched thing of the composer suddenly gets struck by this idea and then starts scribbling furiously for 5 hours, and then that's how Mozart writes a concerto. But in Amy's case, it actually was kind of true. She would get this idea, and I think that's why her music resonated with so many people, because it was so honest in that way.
Uptown Funk, I mean, congratulations on that. Extraordinary.
Thank you.
It is the song that will be the song of this moment, of this time. It was your first hit single both in the UK and the US, which you've had success before.
Right.
But how what does it feel like to have number one, across the world?
Incredible. I don't think it's anything that I ever thought it was probably going to happen for me, you know, of course, when I'm producing records for other people, whether I'm working with Bruno or whoever, you know, I know that those guys are superstars, are gonna have hits, but as far as my own solo records, I never really thought about that kind of success. And it wasn't like I was like upset that I wasn't getting it. It was just like, cool, you know, I have these songs that like, you know, they play them on Triple J, I can go tour in Australia. That's the coolest thing I could imagine happening. And
really?
then, yeah, I think so. You know, I think that, I mean, I never had a #1 in the UK before, but you know, plenty of #2s or 6 or whatever it is. It's like that, and having the respect of my peers and making records that I loved was really great. So then with Uptown Funk, I think, and maybe with this album, Uptown Special as well, I knew that I had to make something really great to stand out. It had been 4 years since my last album. People barely buy albums anymore. They buy singles or they stream. And so I was like, okay, this might be the last solo record I ever make. So I know I put everything into it. You know, we never worked so hard on making a song. It was like 7 months and chasing Bruno around while he was on tour and these things. But the way it's gone down is just, it's amazing to me. I mean, it's pretty much the most coolest, like, unexpected thing ever.
When you knew it had actually reached that kind of status, did you take a moment? Or did you take a moment to really...
My manager called me when we first got to #1 in the States to tell me, you know. And I was literally like coming back with like some like shopping bags from the supermarket. And I thought to myself, okay, if this was like 7 years ago, like I'd go out and like party and like completely celebrate. And I was thinking like, you know what's so sad? Like I wouldn't even know where to go out and party to celebrate now. Like I'm not like, you just like realize you're not like in that, you know, either that mode or that frame of mind, or where you know like what those spots were. You know, 2007, 2008 when Version came out, and I was kind of single and ending up in the tabloids because I had this association with Lily and Amy, who were so kind of loved in the tabloids and written about. And I was kind of going out every night and just being a little bit of like the cliche of what you think you're supposed to do when you have your first bit of success. But I'm kind of happier that I'll probably remember a bit more of it this time.
Speaking of celebrity stories, you DJ'd at Tom Cruise's wedding.
Yes.
And did he have any special requests?
At that time, I was playing in a lot of like hip hop clubs between New York and LA, and I think that was the kind of music that they liked. They wanted soul, Motown, hip hop, and
you played the theme song from Top Gun.
I did. I played the theme song from Top Gun because
I
did. Yeah, I mixed it with the drums from Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani. Those heavy like boom boom chicka boom, and I kind of just always loved the Top Gun theme when I was a kid. Anyway, so I did the mix, and I couldn't look up because I was concentrating so hard on keeping the two turntables, the speeds locked. But my friend was standing next to me and was telling me like, hey man, he's like pointing over, he's shooting the fingers, he's giving you like the thumbs up for this mix. So I guess I took my friend's word for it.
Let's go back to, you know, fast forwarding on now, you've moved on from DJing where, you know, you're a producer. How hard is it to create a unique sound?
I'm a product of all the influences and the things I love and the music that's kind of shaped me. But what you do is you try and shape it and forge it into something that's new. So I guess it's one of the things, like, I guess, you know, sometimes you have a sound in your head and you're trying to achieve it by playing with instruments, microphones, equalizers, and you can, and sometimes you make a mistake and you end up somewhere else that's just as exciting, you know. I think that's the thing of making an album as well. You have to be ready for any kind of wrong turn because it might bring you to something really exciting.
Right. You seem happy to let others, you know, like Bruno Mars, have the limelight in film clips and on stage while you stay in the background.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're really good at their job, you know.
Oh, hello.
They're like, but Bruno Mars is one of the great performers, dancers, singers of his generation. I think that, like, as a producer, I feel so lucky that I kind of like get these once in a lifetime opportunities every now and then to be on something like SNL or go perform on the Ellen Show, which is so much fun. But you know, at the end of the day, it's like I'm there to play guitar, just like hold it down. It's a song I wrote, but Bruno's gonna kill it, and I know like you want to give that guy as much room on the stage as you can, you know.
And is it true? I actually heard you being interviewed here about Bruno said he had some moves for you, and you were kind of thinking, oh yeah, what's that going to be? And it was, yeah, move your head.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was like, it's in his best interest to like not have me look like an idiot. So I think he was just like definitely acting out of kindness, like, you know.
About, you know, with this, the way people are today in social media and paparazzi and everything, how do you manage? You kind of almost fly under the radar a little bit, don't you? How do you manage that?
I think I just don't go out as much as I used to. You know, I think in like 2007, 2008, I was kind of like going out all the time, and you just always see your picture in those papers, and you're just thinking like, that's actually not why I got into this. I got into this to be known for making music.
For the art. And okay, where to from here? It's your 40th birthday this year.
Yeah.
You're not having a freak out, are you? You're not having one of those midlife crisis or anything?
No. I mean, I just bought a convertible Porsche, but not at
that's
all.
a midlife crisis for a married man.
I didn't buy a Porsche. No, I feel okay about it, you know. I mean, after 35, everything sounds old in music anyway, so it's fine.
Oh, and your ultimate ambition?
I just think just to leave a legacy of great records and good music, and I don't have anything too much grander than that.
Thank you.
Thank you.